This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Will Jewelry and Loan. When you need cash and you need it fast, check out Will Jewelry and Loan. Come on in with your jewelry, firearms, electronics, tools, lawn equipment, dirt bikes, side-by-sides, and even four-wheelers. They will beat any competitor's loan amount, and that's a fact. Will Jewelry and Loan guarantees faster and more cash for your loan than any other company in the area. They have your cash you need fast. Check them out today on their Facebook page or give them a call at 304-768-5101. Stop in and talk with them at 5523 McCorkle Avenue, Southwest, South Charleston, West Virginia. Will Jewelry and Loan, 304-768-5101. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. Tonight we have Bobby Altman from Bobby Altman Photographer. That's a business he owns there in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Bobby, how you doing this evening?
Good, man. How you doing?
Oh, we're doing good, man. I'm without my two co-hosts this evening, so I'm soloing it. So we'll see how that goes.
Nobody to carry the team.
Yeah, well, you know, somebody's got to do it. So we had opening day of West Virginia rifle season here today in West Virginia. So it's been a little busy for us. Me and my son went out early this morning, and he was able to get a shot at a nice buck this evening. But he was using old Dad's 30-06 for the first time, so it knocked him back on his butt. And needless to say, he just grazed the bottom of the deer. There was no blood, so luckily it didn't, hit it, and then we couldn't find it, wounded it. I hate when something like that happens, but it was just a grazed shot, and we searched for about an hour. Couldn't find any blood within a probably, I would say, I'd say 50-yard or, 50-foot radius in that area, 50 to 100-foot radius. So we couldn't find anything. But, yeah, that's what we was doing. So you just got back from Montana last week. How was that trip?
Yeah, Montana's incredible. I live on the coast here in South Carolina, and it's obviously drastically different from anything that I typically experience here. I'm ready to move. I was there 3 days and told them I wanted to move up there. So,
yeah, I can only imagine. I've never been to Montana, but I've heard some really good things. And of course, obviously the hunting and stuff like that's amazing. So fishing as well.
Man, I think for me, it's just the access to land over there that kind of did it. Everywhere we went was either public land, state land, or block management. I think the opportunities for public to access land for hunting and fishing and really, to be honest with you, anything you want to do in the outdoors is just so much greater than anywhere else I've ever been.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard that as well. There's a lot of different, just a lot more public land out there that, like you said, people can access and things. So what brought you to Montana? Was you out there on a trip for the outdoors or just shooting some photography?
Yeah, I had a little bit of both. I had a photo shoot out there through an ad agency for a client that's getting into the outdoor apparel world. They've been around for a while. Started out in the golf industry, and then now they're making some kind of foul weather gear, if you want to call it that. Cold weather jackets and rain gear and things like that. So the photo shoot was for that. We shot a little bit on a golf course, which is super foreign to me, but the other half of the photo shoot was in the factory, guys hand making bags and stuff like that, and then also some hiking stuff. And then photo shoot was over. That was in Missoula, and I drove about 2 hours to Helena that night and stayed with a buddy of mine, Jeff Laddig, who's an incredible fishing guide. And we went and hunted pheasant and some Hungarian partridge in the prairies for a day, and then we ended up fishing a couple of days. So shot some pheasant and caught my first salmon on the fly. That was super cool. These really cool landlocked salmon that they have up there. Just had a good time. It was super cold, but it was awesome.
Yeah, I seen the pictures there that you'd posted on social media on Facebook. Man, that looked like an awesome pheasant hunt. And that was that salmon you said?
Yeah, salmon. And I cannot remember what they called that type of salmon. Um, they apparently introduced this salmon into this river system some time ago, and what's left there is kind of the holdovers that have survived and created a very small breeding population. They were spawning while we were there. There's 200 or 300 fish in this entire river system, and they were all in this one spot spawning, which is actually at the base of a dam. So it's kind of a unicorn. Like, you don't get the opportunity to really catch these fish otherwise. And really, when they're spawning, you're kind of just hoping that one of them wants to still eat. So it was pretty awesome to be able to go up there and see these fish doing that one, but also like have the opportunity to catch a couple of them. So
Yeah, man, it seemed like an awesome trip. I know, but by the pictures, it kind of looked like a Chinook salmon, but I'm not for sure. It kind of had that hook on its top lip there. But like I said, I'm not too familiar with the salmon.
yeah, that's not what it is. It's a smaller salmon than that. And from what I understand, I guess they get that hook and the hump on their back once they go into spawning. They're flooded with hormones, and tend to grow that. I guess I'm not a biologist, so hopefully that's not super wrong. But I can find out if I need to and text you what the name of that salmon is for the notes or whatever on the podcast. But
No, I was just looking it up here, and I don't think there's any specific. It's just salmon. I don't think there's any specific thing that they call it. Well, I mean, it does say that they do have Chinook.
yeah, yeah, they had a name for it.
They have Chinook, Coho, and Kokaani.
Yeah, the kokanee. That's what it was.
Kokanee. Okay.
And we're
Yeah.
probably both mispronouncing
Okay,
that.
I got you now. Yeah, they say here that there's yeah, we probably are. There was we did a salute to Valor a couple weeks ago, and we just butchered the name for where this guy was from, and I had to re-record it because it was from like Wadasketa, Maine, or somewhere, and I was like, yeah, I butchered that name bad. But so tell us a little bit about Bobby Altman, photographer.
Yeah, man. So I'm an outdoor lifestyle and food photographer. So I tend to market myself as a field to plate photographer. Um, Basically, going out, I shoot a bunch of hunting and fishing industry stuff. I also shoot a lot for sporting resorts, so places that you would go stay that have bird hunting on property or fly fishing on property or whatever it happens to be. And then, as kind of a side note to that, I shoot a lot of food that kind of pairs with that through the restaurants or whatever it happens to be that we're in as well at the time. So I just helped shoot a wild game cookbook through Bray's Island, which is just outside Beaufort, South Carolina, with Sporting Classics magazine. They were the publishers on it. That was a super cool little experience. But basically, man, I like to say that I shoot real people doing real shit. So a lot of times, even with these sporting resorts, we may have models or talent or whatever it happens to be, but hopefully I shoot it in a way that's super authentic to whatever we're doing at the time.
That's awesome, man. I mean, you can't get any realer than that, like what you're saying. I mean, um, from from field to table, that's been a big thing here with a lot of these farms and things here locally in West Virginia. They do a farm to table thing to where they'll have a dinner, and it's like specially designed just for that time and things like that. So you were featured in a magazine down there in the South, wasn't you?
Well, I've been in a bunch of magazines. So I'm not sure. So yeah, I mean, I've shot for a lot of the national sporting magazines, a bunch of fly fishing magazines. Fly fishing is where I got my start into the outdoor industry, as a whole, anyway.
Okay.
And then a bunch of food magazines, kind of, and some regional lifestyle magazines, stuff like that.
Yeah, I was thinking that back when we first met, we was talking about the one there in South Carolina. It may have been one of the ones for Myrtle Beach. I'm not sure what the advertising things that they do, or Southern Living or something like that. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Man, that's been a while. I'm not sure which one it was at that time.
So, have you got to do any hunting down there in South Carolina this year? I know we was talking right before the podcast, and I was telling you about how our rifle season just started today, and you was like, "Wow, man, ours started back in
Yeah.
August."
Yeah, man. Deer season comes in, and that's what I shift all my focus onto. I've killed 3 deer this year so far, which has been great. This is I normally don't kill that many deer, but like you said, our bow season starts August 15th. So I'm usually in the stand opening day every year. Heat index is always somewhere around 100. So I'm fighting mosquitoes and everything like that, but I just can't miss it. It seems like. But this year, 2 days in, I killed a buck in velvet, my first one of those, and then I actually pulled a bear tag this year, and I was bear hunting in October, and killed a deer that came out, and then the next night killed a calico deer that I've never seen before. Um, Same thing, bear hunting, same spot, and he walked out, and I couldn't pass that up. So that ended my bear hunt.
Oh wow! So you took both those. You took both those animals from the same spot.
It's from the same spot, yeah. So the first buck was a 3.5 year old, and really a cull deer more than anything. 3.5 year old, like 5 point, kind of weird antlers, like no brow tines or anything like that. But we took him out of it, and then the next night, this calico deer stepped out. I thought he was a doe, kind of milling around in the trees. He wasn't quiet at all, and he popped his head out, and he was a little 2.5 year old buck, but solid white face, and just white patches all over him. And when he stepped out, I was like, well, I've never seen one of these before in person either. So naturally, I guess I chose to kill it.
Now that's black and white. Is that right? Like a black and brown colored deer.
It's brown and white.
Brown and white. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I figured. I've never seen one of those in the wild, but I have seen the white, the albino ones.
Yep.
We were hunting in Pocahontas County one year, and we were driving through into camp and look over, and there's one there. And, this thing lived there for probably, I don't know, 10 years or so. It must have been somebody's pet because, if somebody sees something out like that, usually it's gone. You don't get to see it again. But we seen that thing for probably 6-7 years straight, man. It was crazy.
Man, that's awesome. I had this property that I leased. We had one calico deer on it the first year we leased it 5 years ago. And I saw him for about 2 weeks on camera, never in person. And then he disappeared for good. And then I never even saw this deer on camera. So he just popped out. And like I said, I couldn't pass up that opportunity. So I ended up taking that, and I'm gonna have a rug made. So
Yeah, man, that'll be cool. So was that was a black bear you killed there? How big was it?
no, I didn't kill a bear. That was my, so our bear season here is about a week and a half long. I pulled a tag.
Oh, okay.
But what they do is they shut the season down at 30 bears. Once 30 bears have been reported, regardless if it's been 2 weeks or not, or a week and a half.
Really?
Or not. I killed those 2 deer, and then 2 days later, 30 bears were reported, and they shut the season down. So the season lasted all of about 4.5 days.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know there was a limit on that. So after 30 bears have been reported killed, they close the season down.
Yeah, it's wild, man, because here in Horry County, we have a little plot of public land. It's real small. It's about 12,000 acres, I believe, called Lewis Ocean Bay. And that area has the highest population of black bears in the state of South Carolina, or the highest concentration of black bears in the state of South Carolina. However, Horry County only issues 75 tags or so for these bear, and then at 30 bears, they shut the season down.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, they just opened up where you can bait them on private land, but it's got to be natural grains, corn, something like that. You can't use donut or anything artificial, nothing like that to bait them with, and you can't hunt them at night, can't hunt them with dogs, nothing like that. Now they do open it up upstate where you can bait them with whatever you want, and you can hunt them with dogs upstate too. And I'm not sure what the season is upstate. It might be a little bit longer up there too, but for some reason here on the coast, they're stingy with them.
That's crazy. I got a buddy of mine that I used to work with. He moved to Charleston, South Carolina, and he was telling me some of the different things there. And there was something that he was telling me about bear. I couldn't remember what it was, but there's some different rules and regulations down there. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Some things I think it's the Wild West. You know, it's kind of. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying that some things I think it's kind of the Wild West. Like I think they could regulate a little bit more and probably put a little more stipulations on the whitetail hunting here in terms of what you can take and how many and things like that. And then other things they're real strict on.
Yeah, that was one of the things. You brought that to my memory now. He was talking about you're able to hunt deer with dogs, and he's originally from West Virginia, and you can't do that in West Virginia. It just doesn't seem natural. So that was one of the big things that when he got down there, he was like, "Yeah, they actually have a season where you can hunt deer with dogs." He was like, "I don't do that."
Yeah, you can actually hunt deer with dogs all season long, any gun season here in South Carolina. The issue that we're running into now, so running dogs is what I grew up on as a kid. That's how I killed my first deer. I don't do it now. I'm not real into it as a hunting method now, but to each their own.
Yeah.
But yeah, any open gun season, you can run dogs. The problem that they're running into is a lot of land. So here in the South, we have what's called, they consider hunting clubs, but it's typically leases, and it's done through timber companies and or the paper company here will do some leases and stuff like that as well. And they regulate that. So if you're leasing from them, depending on the tract of land, where it's at in relation to neighborhoods or other tracts of land or its size or whatever it happens to be, they'll tell you if you can or cannot run dogs on it. I had a property that we leased. It was about 600 acres, about an hour from me here, just outside Georgetown. But right beside us, we had a 3,000 acre dog club, and I say to each their own, but there were plenty of times that I would show up and, there's dogs running deer around inside my property, and I'm trying to bow hunt. And that ruins a bow hunt for me for sure. So,
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I know that when dogs are, up here, if you're not hunting like raccoon or something at night, or I think they hunt bear up here with dogs. I'm not sure. I think they do. They can do that, but usually dogs is not big into the hunting scene unless you're hunting raccoon, like I said, or rabbit or something like that. But
yep.
I know that when I was young, I rabbit hunted with my grandpa a lot. Of course, that was during the day, but yeah, when a dog comes into where you're in a tree stand and it's chasing deer, that's something that you don't want.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, man. I love dogs. One of my favorite things is watching dogs do what they're bred to do. To be honest with you, and I've got a couple of dogs. But I think that running deer behind dogs or in front of dogs is just not something that I typically enjoy when it comes to hunting.
And you said you grew up doing that. Was that a tradition there in your family where your dad had done that, or did you do that with your uncles, dad, or what?
Yeah, no, I did it with my dad. I don't know that it was necessarily tradition. It was just something that he's been into, and he's been into doing, running field trials and fox trials and stuff like that for a while. So it was just a thing that we did. I'm not real sure why it was that versus sitting in a tree stand. I know that as a kid, I wouldn't have had the attention span to sit in a tree stand. So that probably helped. Now that I'm older, I want to do it, do it a little differently. It seems like so.
Yeah.
And actually, he doesn't hunt deer with dogs anymore either. I don't know what stopped that. I think he will go every now and then, but for the most part, when he hunts, he just sits in a tree stand now as well. So
how does that method work? I'm not familiar with it. when you hunt them with the dog? I mean, do they get it to a certain point and then you end up taking the animal, or do they actually get the animal to the ground and then you finish it off?
No, so guys dump dogs out of the truck. They'll get on a deer scent or trail or whatever, and they will push this deer basically. So basically, like you're just driving deer is all you're doing with the dogs. Now the deer is going to go wherever the deer is going to go, and the dogs are going to follow. So you in your truck try to cut the dogs off, and you want to kill the deer when it hopefully crosses a road or um, some sort of cut down or something like that in front of you.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense to me than what I was thinking of. Of course, like I said, I've never hunted deer with dogs. It's been only rabbits and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So we've used them for waterfowl and things here. I'm sure you've done that there in South Carolina. You waterfowl hunt too, don't you?
I don't waterfowl hunt. I never could get into it. I did some photo shoots. We shot geese in Canada. We hunted ducks in Arkansas. I've hunted flooded timber. I've done it all kinds of ways, and I just cannot get into waterfowl hunting. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a whole lot of work in the cold for not a lot of reward, I guess, to me. But with that being said, I love bird hunting.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
quail and dove and I mean even hunting pheasants and stuff in Montana. We don't have pheasants here, but um, any of that I love doing. And I don't know if it's the difference of walking and being able to watch a dog work a field as well, or what it is. But now sometimes I do like to we'll go out fishing, fly fishing for redfish, and we'll shoot some marsh hens and stuff too when the fishing's slow. I do like doing that, but that's a little different than waterfowl hunting too. So
Yeah, I've never quail or dove hunted, but I've pheasant hunted and I've duck hunted, and I really love pheasant hunting. I pheasant hunted in Pennsylvania with a buddy of mine, Dave Beer from RD1 Outdoors, and it was a great hunt, man. It was perfect. Snow was on the ground. We had the high grass. We was walking through. The dogs would just go out and find them and shoo them up, and it was great.
yep.
Now, waterfowl hunting's a little different story. I've got a couple friends here that live and die and love waterfowl hunting, but like I said, I've done it several times, and I can't really get into it myself either. Of course, I have never actually hunted out of a blind. I see some of these guys out there waterfowl hunting, and they got these big blinds set up to where they're cooking breakfast and having their coffee and all this stuff, and I'm like, that right there, I could go for that.
Yeah, I've never done it that way. That seems a little more relaxing. So we've always, especially here, it seems like it's always super early, cold mornings, and putting out and picking up decoys and just getting wet, and that's not for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of work involved in it, that's for sure. And like you said, with little reward, but to each their own, like we said earlier. It's always a good time being in outdoors, really, no matter what you're doing, in my opinion. So like I was telling my son today, I said,
Oh, absolutely.
we just out there, and for the first half of the day, we hadn't seen any deer, and well, we jumped a doe up going in, but other than that, we hadn't seen any deer. And I'm like, it's just, we were walking, and we sat down for a little bit, and then we get up and walk again. But it's just good getting out in the woods and just kind of, relaxing and not having a care in the world, just hanging out with my son,
Absolutely.
Well, one of the things that we like to do during our podcast is our salute to valor. And tonight, let me get it up here. See, I usually have other guys doing these things. So like I said, I'm flying solo, so deal with me here for a minute.
Yeah, no, you're good.
So one of the other things that we like to do during our podcast is we like to do our salute to valor. And tonight it's going to be a little different. When we think of our armed forces, most of the time we think of Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force. But we have other branches as well. We have the Space Force, and we also have the Coast Guard. So those are branches of our military as well. So tonight, our salute to valor is going to Jared Landrum. United States Coast Guard. He served from 2007 to 2015. His rank was ME2, which is equivalent of a E5. He was stationed in Panama City Beach, Charleston, South Carolina, Miami, Florida, Bahrain, and back to Charleston. Clarkston, New Hampshire, and Maine. His medals that he was awarded was the Coast Guard Unit Commendation Ribbon, the Coast Guard Pistol Marksman Ribbon, Coast Guard Team Commendation Ribbon with 2 gold stars, and the National Defense Service Medal. So, Jared, we just thank you for your service to our great country, sir, and God bless you. All right, Bobby. So that's going to probably do it for this evening. As we get off here, if you want to just to let everybody know, that's listening, if they need any of your services, how they can contact you there at your business in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually don't work locally. I'm based here in Myrtle Beach, but all the work that I do is travel related anyway. We don't have a whole lot of hunting and fishing here in Myrtle Beach. But if there's anything that I can do for anyone, or if they just want to check out what I do, always on my website. It's just BobbyAltman.com. Altman's Altman. Find me on all the social media channels, anything like that you want, or my email, which is bobby@bobbyaltman.com.
Awesome. Yep. I about forgot our scripture of the day. So Dave has that ready to go for us. So we'll let him do that, and we'll be right back.
Yes, sir. We got it ready to go. Today's verse of the day is out of Romans 8:28, and this is out of the Passion Translation. It says, "So we are convinced that every detail of our lives is continually woven together to fit into God's perfect plan of bringing good into our lives." It says, "For we are his lovers who have been called to fulfill his designed purpose." So, just up here where he's talking about woven together to fit into God's perfect plan of bringing good into our lives. God wants to do you good. Okay, I say it a lot. God's not doing bad things to the people in the world. Okay, there's a devil out there. But he wants to do you good. People don't like this. Bad things happen to good people. There is a devil. But when Jesus is Lord of your life, he gives you a new perspective in those bad situations. You have a new reason for being alive. We're not to live self-centered anymore.
All right, Dave, thank you for the verse of the day there. That was pre-recorded. Like I said, I'm running solo, but Dave does a great job there. So, Bobby, while we were talking during the break there, you were, we was just talking about a bunch of different things, but we done our salute to valor. You all do some special things there with Special Operations Wounded Warriors. Tell us a little bit about that organization and what all they do.
Yeah, Special Operations Wounded Warriors, they are a charity to benefit special operations veterans specifically. They do have a chapter that runs and operates kind of here out of Myrtle Beach. Every year they do a pig hunt with these guys. So they'll bring in a bunch of veterans. Some of them are still active and some are retired or disabled or whatever it happens to be. And do a pig hunt. We talked about the dogs. They actually hunt those with dogs as well. And it's all knifing pigs. Catch the pigs and they go in and kill the pigs with a knife. And then they'll run some canine like demos and bite demos and stuff like that for the veterans, just as entertainment as stuff as well.
Man, that's awesome. I would love to do one of them pig hunts with a knife. Now that's something that I would really like to do with the dogs and stuff. I know, I guess it's like in Texas and places like that, you can kill them things at nighttime and from the air and everything.
Man, they're an invasive species. So yeah, so here you can hunt pigs all year long, day or night, and with any method that you want to kill pigs. The DNR just wants them gone.
Yeah, that's about the same way it is here with coyotes. I mean, coyotes has gotten crazy out of control, and We didn't see one today, but we seen the feces of one, and he had definitely been in the area there. So it definitely takes a toll on our wildlife, and we need to manage that by taking them out some, in my opinion.
Absolutely. We have a bunch of coyotes here as well, and they treat them the same way as they do the pigs. And one of the public lands that I hunt, there's a ton of coyotes on it, and I mean, you can always count on a ruined hunt once you hear them kind of start singing up it right there towards dark.
Yep. We have them like crazy here. Like I said, I can be sitting on my front porch and they'll just be singing in groups of, I mean, it's just a bunch of them together, big old groups.
Yep.
So, another thing we was talking about while we was on a break there, like I was saying, our verse of the day was pre-recorded since I don't have my co-host here. I'm running solo, but one of the things that we were talking about there during the break was different kind of jobs and things that you've been on. What's one of your favorite jobs that you've done and different places that you've been at?
Man, I've been all over the U.S. We've been to Texas hunting whitetail and javelina, Arkansas fishing and hunting ducks, and Alabama hunting deer, and I've been all over the north and kind of just the east in general. This is my first time in Montana, like we talked about. But I think one of my favorite places I've ever been, I had a job with Tail Fly Fishing Magazine. It's a saltwater fly fishing magazine in South Andros in the Bahamas. South Andros is a super small little island, but you go there, there's 3 or 4 lodges on the island, and you go there and fish. We went and fly fish for bonefish for a week, and that was a super awesome experience. I really, really couldn't
wow.
compare it to anything else, really. I mean, you're stuck on a little island, and there's not really any cell phone service, and you're just out all day, every day, fishing for bonefish, and coming back and eating conch fritters and whatever else they happen to catch and cook up at the lodge for you.
Yeah, that seems like a dream come true there, really. I mean, you've got an amazing job, so there's obviously a bunch of different places that you've been. I'm sure that it's hard to pick just one.
It is. It's hard, man. It's a great job. I would say, it's tough because a lot of the times I'm watching other people do these things instead of me being able to participate in it. But at the same time, I'm not sitting in a cubicle somewhere, which, my type of personality wouldn't be good for me anyway. So I definitely can't complain about it.
Yeah, no, it seems like it's right up your alley. I mean, you're out there in the field and you're in it every day, and it's something that you have a passion for and you enjoy. So we really appreciate you coming on this evening. It was a pleasure having you. And I know we had talked and wanted to get this done before the holidays, and you said, yeah, that'll be great, because I'll be, heading back from your fishing trip there that you had earlier.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. This was a good time.
Yep, we appreciate you. So that's going to do it for this evening. So you can check us out on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We're there. There's about 15 other different outlets that we're on as well. So be sure to check us out on those outlets. Give us a like and a share and a listen. Also visit us on Facebook and on our Facebook page, On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. And we also have a group there that's a private group we started when we first started the podcast. And be sure to go on and give Bobby Altman a like on his page. And if you guys can use any of his services, be sure and let him know. And Bobby, again, we thank you for coming on, and hope you have a great Thanksgiving with your family and enjoy that time.
Yeah, you too, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Safe travels on your way home, and hope you have a good evening. Thank you all for listening this evening. Have a good night. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Carts Towing and Timco Auto Transport. Local and long-distance towing, auto recovery, roadside assistance, auto lockouts, and jump starts. And they also do repossessions. Give them a call today at 304-949-2323 or 304-925-0858. Again, that's Carts Towing and Timco Auto Transport, 304-949-2323, 304-925-0858.